Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can Devraj do?
Yeah, for sure.
Om Akhyanya Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yenam Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitanam Yene Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatasiva Subha Patikanam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Shri Vishavasha Shri Rupam Sagratanam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Divyam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakasa Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudha Devi Pranami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarabhayascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitananda Bhavne Boy Snowy Boy Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. This is super excellent. Vaikuntha kid is so young, just about has started school, but see how beautifully he is able to recite the whole invocation prayers. Super excellent. Just as Vijay Prabhu's granddaughter also. These are all Vaikuntha kids. Super excellent. Thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16 from verse number 7 onwards, and then we will also straddle into Chapter 17. But first I will answer inquiries. I'll bring up on screen. Question number 1. Does one attain liberation and spiritual abode by simply understanding the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord? Bhagavad Gita 4.9 is the direct reference and answer to this question number 1, that yes, simply by understanding in truth, the keyword is in truth. Simply by understanding in truth the appearance and activities of the Lord as transcendental, one attains spiritual world. Somebody wants to recite and read Bhagavad Gita 4.9 translation and the verse. Somebody?
Prabhu, may I do that?
Go ahead, Chandan Prabhu.
Bhagavad Gita 4.9, text 9. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
Dara, you wanted to recite?
Sure, Prabhuji. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mama eti so Arjuna.
Very good. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes,
Question number 2. In the current age of unitary families, when children are not staying with parents, one can really not hand over responsibilities to children and proceed for sannyas. Is the essence to make our lives simple and baggage minimal so that management does not take too much time and more time can be spent on spirituality? Yes, it's absolutely correct that we discussed at our last class that the purpose of Vanaprastha life is not that we have to go to the forest. Rather, the purpose of Vanaprastha life is to spend more time on spirituality, say about last 15, 20 years of your life should be more focused on spirituality. And at our last class, we also discussed from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.15.39 that mind plays a crucial role in yoga practice. If mind is absorbed completely in material activities, then there cannot really be yoga. Hence, what we have to do is to not expand our material world activities to a huge level. Rather, work to earn just about enough to keep body and soul together, as well as maintain family, so that mind is free for spiritual endeavors. And further, Nectar of Instruction, text number 2 describes Atyahar Prayascha, Prajalpo Niyamagraha, Janasanga Cha, Lolyam Cha. So these 6 activities that are harmful for bhakti. Therefore, in Nectar of Instruction, text number 2 purport, the very first line, Srila Prabhupada says, human life is meant for plain living and high thinking. So by such simple living, one can avoid the Nectar of Instruction, text number 2, 6 activities that are harmful for bhakti, so that more time can be spent on spirituality. Does that answer the inquiry?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Question number 3. In Bhagavad Gita 17.3 and 4, Sri Krishna explains to Arjuna that according to one's modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. Those in the mode of goodness, they worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship demons, and those in mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirit. Then the question is, then in which mode does one worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So let me bring up on screen so you will remember from our Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 discussion this chart that we populated, and worship under the various modes. So we had under goodness, passion, and ignorance, and all these activities, including worship. Worship under the various modes is mixed or impure faith. And then we discussed that you see the block is different for pure faith and pure worship, which is in pure goodness. Only such worship of Vasudev is pure faith. So at the start of our devotional service to Krishna, one will generally be in Mishra Bhakti. That Bhakti to Krishna is mixed with other paths. As one becomes steady in the mode of goodness, Simultaneously, he becomes steady in worship of Krishna, which is still Mishra Bhakti under the modes. Only when one comes to the level of pure devotion, that is mode of transcendence. Now, don't beat yourself up. You all are actually quite elevated. And in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10, it says that whether one has desires or no desires or wants liberation, in any of these circumstances, one should worship Krishna with all his means. So this 2.3.10 is a very famous verse. I will bring up on screen and I will recite. Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. Pragya, you want to read the translation?
Ji Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Translation: a person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry?
Ji Prabhuji. Thank you.
Question number 4. It is not clear why and how Draupadi and Subhadra Maharani did not have to quit their body if the sons of Pandavas had to quit their bodies. So the circumstances on how Draupadi and Subhadra Maharani left material world versus how the sons of Pandavas were killed in their sleep, these are different circumstances. So focus on the point that Draupadi and Subhadra Maharani got purified and attained spiritual world that we discussed in 1.15.50, that they did not wait for their husbands to ask them. They were already trained. Focus on that point more rather than worrying about the why they did not quit their bodies. No, they became pure devotees. Now, there is no further detail in Srimad Bhagavatam on this point about the sons of Pandavas as well as Draupadi and Subhadra Maharani. So we will not speculate. But the point is from 1.15.50, and many of you put this same point on your striking points as well, that prepare yourself for Krishna consciousness while you are in this body, while on earth. And when you have to go back to Goloka Vrindavan, you have to fly your own airplane. You cannot get help from anybody else. Does that answer the inquiry? Last question for today. Why did Vidura, who was equally absorbed in Krishna, not go to Goloka Vrindavan like the Pandavas? So Srimad Bhagavatam 1.15.49 is the direct answer that Pandavas and Vidura, the difference is that Pandavas are eternal associates of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas Vidura is one of the administrative demigods in charge of Pitraloka planet and is known as Yamraj. I will bring up on screen 1.15.49. Divya will read the translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation: Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhasa because he was absorbed in thought of Krishna. He was received by the denizens of the Pitraloka planet, where he returned to his original post. Purport: the difference between the Pandavas and Vidura is that the Pandavas are eternal associates of the Lord. The personality of Godhead, whereas Vidura is one of the administrative demigods in charge of the Pitraloka planet and is known as Yamaraja. Men are afraid of Yamaraja because it is he only who awards punishment to the miscreants of the material world, but those who are devotees of the Lord have nothing to fear from him. To the devotees, he is a cordial friend, but to the non-devotees, he is fear personified. As we have already discussed, it is understood that Yamaraja was cursed by Manduka Muni to be degraded as a Shudra, and therefore Vidura was an incarnation of Yamaraja. As an eternal servitor of the Lord, he displayed his devotional activities very ardently and lived a life of a pious man, so much so that a materialistic man like Dhritarashtra also got salvation by his instruction. So, by his pious activities in the devotional service of the Lord, he was able to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, he became washed of all contamination of his Shudra born life. At the end, he was again received by the denizens of Pitraloka and posted in his original position. The demigods are also associates of the Lord without personal touch, whereas the direct associates of the Lord are in constant personal touch with him. The Lord and his personal associates incarnate in many universes without cessation. The Lord remembers them all, whereas the associates forget due to their being very minute parts and parcels of the Lord. They are apt to forget such incidents due to being infinitesimal. This is corroborated in Bhagavad Gita 4.5.
Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, striking points. You have 3 slides. This is slide number 1. Take snapshot. Slide number 2. And slide number 3. All right, so last week you got a heavy dose about having to take responsibility for your own spiritual life. So majority of you completed the spiritual endeavor. It's only a couple of devotees who still are very adamant in not wanting to pursue on the spiritual task. I cannot help you beyond this point. And let's see how long does the intensity stay in all of you. So every time I give a heavy dose, yeah, you get back and complete the spiritual endeavor. And then you go back to your regular routine, which is unacceptable. That's your personal choice. All right. So we will now continue from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, from verse number 7 onwards. So last class we discussed in Chapter 16 that the characteristics of the king's advisors, that advisors should advise from Shastra, the advisors should be great sages and brahmanas, advisors should not take salary, advisors should be samadarshina, that they should be equal to both men and animals, because animals are also equal citizens of the state. And then from verse number 4 up to 22 are various symptoms of Kali described, as well as solution is also described. So we discussed in verse number 6 the solution, that devotees are interested in Krishna Katha only. So we will read, Abhishek Prabhu will read Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 7 and 8 translation and verse 8 purport.
Hare Krishna. Text 7. O Sutta Goswami, there are those amongst men who desire freedom from death and get eternal life. They escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death Yamaraj. 8. As long as Yamaraj, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited controller of death Yamaraj, who is the representative of Lord. Living beings who are under his grip should take advantage by hearing the deathless nectar in the form of narration of transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Purport. Every human being dislikes meeting death, but he does not know how to get rid of death. The surest remedy for avoiding death is to accustom oneself to hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord as they are systematically narrated in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is advised herein, therefore, that any human being who desires freedom from death should take to this course of life as recommended by the rishis headed by Sonu.
So again, the solution is given that should hear the pastimes of the Lord. And Prabhupada also goes on to explain that scientists try to extend their life, but Yamraj does not allow even a minute more. Therefore, we should spend time on devotional service, hearing the pastimes of the Lord, because this is the solution to get freedom from birth and death cycle. Our dear Devraj, if he can read verses 9, 10, and 11 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, he's in the washroom. I'll read.
Yeah.
Text 9. Lazy human being with a paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping and a day performing activity that are for naught. Verse 10. Sutta Goswami said, while Maharaj Parikshit was residing in the capital of a Guru empire, the symptoms of the age of a Kali began infiltrated within the jurisdiction of his state. When he learned about this, he did not think the matter very palatable. This did, however, give him a chance to fight. He took up his bow and arrow and prepared himself for military activities. Text 11. Maharaj Pariksit sat on the chariot drawn by the black horses. His flag was marked with the sign of a lion. Being so decorated and surrounded by charioteers, cavalry, elephant, and infantry soldiers, he left the capital to conquer in all the direction.
So Kaliyug symptoms are described, say, short duration, people are unfortunate. They are repeat, which we have discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.10. The symptoms of Kaliyug are described. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that working in a day for nothing, because that working is meant for sense gratification. Therefore, Prabhupada calls it nothing. It doesn't do anything to you. The working is not to get out of material world life. And people don't realize the aim of human life. And I'm pretty sure you all can see these very symptoms as very prominent all around us today. And including schools. Srila Prabhupada calls schools as slaughterhouses because schools don't teach you how to get out of the body and out of this material world. Rather, schools teach you how to earn money and how to enjoy. Well, you are getting entangled more and more. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada calls the schools as slaughterhouses. Pragya has a question. Pragya,
Hare Krishna. Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question was on text 8. It said that as long as Yamraj, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. Prabhuji, we read that earlier in one of the classes that while Yamraj was present in the form of Vidura, somebody else was performing his duties. Am I confused?
Aryama was performing, yes.
Okay, but here it says that no one will meet death so long as Yamraj is here.
So Aryama was Yamraj. So Yamraj is a position, right? So, just as all demigods, it's a position. Yes, most of the time, Yamraj, who became as Vidura, Yamraj is occupying that position. But at time when Yamraj came as Vidura, then Aryama was occupying the position. The activities of that position continue. Therefore, Yamraj is always there.
Okay, Prabhuji.
All right. We will continue. Shivangi will read verses 12 to 15 translation and then 13 to 15 purport.
1 second, Prabhuji. Chapter 12 and 13 translation and 13 purport.
13 to 15 are combined verses. So 12 to 15 translation and 13 to 15 purport. Faster pace.
Text 12. Maharaja Parikshit then conquered all parts of the earthly planet, Bhadravarsha, Ketumala, Bharata, the northern Kuru, Kimpurusha, etc., and exacted tributes from their respective rulers. Text 13 to 15. Wherever the king visited, he continuously heard the glories of his great forefathers, who were all devotees of the Lord, and also of the glorious acts of Lord Krishna. He also heard how he himself had been protected by the Lord from the powerful heat of the weapon of Ashwatthama. People also mentioned the great affection between the descendants of Vrishni and Partha due to the latter's great devotion to Lord Keshava. The king, being very pleased with the singers of such stories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them with very valuable necklaces and clothing. Purport. Kings and great personalities of the state are presented with welcome addresses. This is a system from time immemorial, and Maharaja Parikshit, since he was one of the most well-known emperors of the world, was also presented with addresses of welcome in all parts of the world as he visited those places. The subject matter of those welcome addresses was Krishna. Krishna means Krishna and his eternal devotees, as the king means the king and his confidential associates. Krishna and his unalloyed devotees cannot be separated, and therefore glorifying the Lord means glorifying the Lord therefore glorifying the devotee means glorifying the Lord, and vice versa. Maharaja Parikshit would not have been glad to hear about the glories of his forefathers like Maharaja Yudhishthira and Arjuna had they not been connected with the acts of Lord Krishna. The Lord descends specifically to deliver his devotees, Paritranaya Sadhunam. The devotees are glorified by the presence of the Lord because they cannot live for a moment without the presence of the Lord and his different energies. The Lord is present for the devotee by his acts and glories, and therefore Maharaja Parikshit felt the presence of the Lord when he was glorified by his acts, especially when he was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother. The devotees of the Lord are never in danger, but in the material world, which is full of dangers at every step, the devotees are apparently placed into dangerous positions, and when they are saved by the Lord is glorified. Lord Krishna would not have been glorified as the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita had his devotees, like the Pandavas, not been entangled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. All such acts of the Lord were mentioned in the addresses of welcome, and Maharaja Parikshit in full satisfaction rewarded those who presented such addresses. The difference between the presentation of welcome addresses today and in those days is that formerly the welcome addresses were presented to a person like Maharaja Parikshit. The welcome addresses were full of facts and figures, and those who presented such addresses were sufficiently rewarded, whereas in the present days the welcome addresses are presented not always with factual statements but to please the post holder, and often they are full of flattering lies, and rarely are those who present such welcome addresses rewarded by the poor receiver.
So welcome addresses are compared between now versus historically. That people were glorifying Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Glorifying devotees means glorifying the Lord as well as vice versa. So out of magnanimity, Parikshit Maharaj awarded gifts, and welcome addresses were all full of facts. Today, if you hear and see welcome addresses are not supported with facts, but to please the post holder. And they are often flattering lies. And the presenter is rarely rewarded also. So all these we discussed that up to verse number 22 are symptoms of Kali Yuga described, which you can also judge and see all around us today. Archana?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhuji, in the purport 13 and 15, it say that devotee of a Lord are never be danger. But Parikshit Maharaj got cursed. So how you gonna...
Yeah, it's coming up discussion in chapter 17 that just because you are Krishna conscious does not mean you are not going to get misery. Rather, your viewpoint for misery will change. So it's a heavy discussion coming up in chapter 17, which we'll discuss at our next class, that what's the Vaishnav approach to miseries. And I'm only briefly describing because it's a heavy discussion. That devotees also get miseries, but they use the miseries to remember Krishna, exactly what Kunti Maharani has taught us. So many devotees have discussed with me offline about their miseries that they go through. And I have pointed them and given them lectures for these 2 points. One is the Kunti Maharani prayers discussion, and the next is the chapter 17 discussion coming up in our next class. That what exactly are we supposed to do with miseries? And devotees are given miseries to increase their remembrance of the Lord, as well as to teach the rest of the world that how to be fully absorbed in Krishna even when there are miseries. I'm not sure how many of you have read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. If not, you can try to read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, at least the first part or the initial part. I mean, now the Lilamrita has been broken into smaller size books. But the initial part of Lilamrita, where Prabhupada went through miseries after miseries after miseries, and each misery was like, what? When I had first read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita about those miseries, I actually went and stood in front of Prabhupada and I told Prabhupada, what were you thinking? Like, why would you go through these miseries? They are like unbelievable miseries. So it's not that the miseries are going to go away. It's just that our viewpoint of the devotees will change. I only briefly described. It's a heavy discussion in our next class. Archana, does that help you for the time being?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay, very good. Dhara will read 16, 17, 18 translations and 18 purport, faster pace.
Hare Krishna. Text 16. Maharaj Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, who is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friends, night watchman, etc., according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 17. Now you may hear from me of what happened while Maharaj Parikshit was passing his days hearing of the good occupations of his forefathers and being absorbed in thought of them. Text 18. The personality of religious principles, dharma, was wandering about in the form of a bull, and he met the personality of earth in the form of a cow who appeared to grieve like a mother who had lost her child. She had tears in her eyes, and the beauty of her body was lost. Thus Dharma questioned the earth as follows. Purport. The bull is the emblem of the moral principle, and the cow is the representative of the earth. When the bull and the cow are in joyful mood, it is to be understood that the people of the world are also in a joyful mood. The reason is that the bull helps production of grains in the agricultural field, and the cow delivers milk. The miracle of aggregate food values. The human society therefore maintains these two important animals very carefully so that they can wander everywhere in cheerfulness. But at the present moment, in this age of Kali, both the bull and the cow are now being slaughtered and eaten up as foodstuff by a class of men who do not know the Brahmanical culture. The bull and the cow can be protected for the good of all human society simply by the spreading of Brahmanical culture as the topmost perfection of all cultural affairs. By advancement of such culture, the morale of society is properly maintained, and so peace and prosperity are also attained without extraneous effort. When Brahmanical culture deteriorates, the cow and bull are mistreated, and the resultant actions are prominent by the following symptoms. Hare Krishna.
Resultant factors are prominent. You can see today as well that when bull, cow are joyful, then people of the world are also joyful. Milk, grains are miracle foods. But today, bull and cow are slaughtered. In reality, bull and cow should be protected for good of human society and Brahmanical culture. And advancement of Brahmanical culture, the society morale is properly maintained. Brahmanical culture deteriorates when cow and bull are mistreated. Gauri will read verse 19, translation and purport, faster pace.
May I ask a question?
Pragya, go ahead.
Prabhu, this cow slaughter and this thing is only in our Hindu culture. Now, the Western culture have always been slaughtering and consuming these animals. That it is coming to a certain Indians also. That's a thing that we are talking about, or we are telling them that don't slaughter cows.
It's talking about the entire world, not just in a particular region of the world. So in Western countries, yes, it's been prevalent for long compared to India, but the principle is universal that cows and bulls should be protected irrespective of the divisions. And understand that these divisions are man-made, the divisions of the world. Previously, there were no such divisions. The entire world was one country. So it's not about one particular place. The principle is universal that cows and bulls should be protected for the welfare of human society and for the protection of Brahmanical culture. Okay.
Prabhuji, in this our sampradaya, we are talking about not having non-vegetarian. So all animals are treated equally like human beings. So why this extra emphasis on cow and bull when we are also saying that we should not hurt any other animal?
Yeah, you are correct that all animals are equal citizens. We read in the purport, Prabhupada explains that cow gives milk and milk is miracle food. Therefore, cow is mother and bull helps in farm to grow grains. Therefore, bull is father. So therefore, there is more emphasis on cow and bull, as well as we all know that Krishna loves cows. So therefore, there is more emphasis on cow and bull, which we read in the purport as well. Pragya, does that help?
Thank you.
Divya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So the understanding is in Vedic society, the entire world's population, no one used to kill cows and bulls. Like no class, like regardless if they were Kshatriya, Sudra, even lower classes, whatever, no one killed and ate cows and bulls. Even if some people were eating meat, it was of other animals, not cows and bulls.
Yeah. So we'll soon read in upcoming words that as the Kali Yuga progresses, not just Kali Yuga, but as the yoga progresses, the religiosity decreases day by day. So depends on how you look at the yugas. In Satyuga, yeah, the spirituality was 100%, and then every yuga it dwindled 25%. So yes, at the start of Kali Yuga, yeah, these things would have started. But in other yugas, no, nobody would be killing these animals for sure, or even other animals.
Oh, okay, Prabhuji. Okay, thank you.
All right, Gauri, 19, translation purport.
Verse 9 translation.
19.
Dharma in the form of a bull asked, Madam, are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief? It appears by your face that you have become black. Are you suffering from some internal disease, or are you thinking of some relative who is away in a distant place? Purport. The people of the world in this age of Kali are always full of anxieties. Everyone is diseased with some kind of ailment. From the very faces of the people in this age, one can find out the index of the mind. Everyone feels the absence of his relative who is far away from home. This particular symptom of the age of Kali is that no family is now blessed to live together. To earn a livelihood, the father lives at a place far away from the son, or the wife lives far away from the husband, and so on. There are sufferings from internal diseases, separation from those near and dear, and anxieties for maintaining the status quo. These are but some important factors which make the people of this age always unhappy. Hare Krishna.
So you have the visual on the screen for Pragya's question about how Krishna loves the cows, just an additional visual for the point. From the purport we read that people are full in anxieties, and symptoms are described that family do not live together because Kali Yuga means the age of quarrel. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada focused on education, that one can come out of the symptoms of Kali Yuga by Brahmanical culture. Therefore, education is important. Questions, comments, realizations? So as I was explaining to Divya's question, verse number 20 explains about how religiosity decreases 25% in each yuga. Nitya will read 20 translation and purport, paragraph number 1.
Yes, Prabhu. Translation: I have lost my 3 legs and I am now standing on one only. Are you lamenting for my state of existence? Are you in great anxiety because henceforth the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because of their suffering due to famine and drought? Purport. With the progress of the age of Kali, 4 things, particularly, namely the duration of life, mercy, the power of recollection, and moral or religious principles will gradually diminish. Since Dharma or the principles of religion would be lost in the proportion of 3 out of 4, the symbolic bull was standing on one leg only. When 3/4 of the population of the world become irreligious, the situation is converted into hell for the animals. In the age of Kali, godless civilizations would create so many so-called religious societies in which the personality of Godhead will be directly or indirectly defined. And thus, faithful societies of men will make the world uninhabitable for the saner section of people. There are gradations of human beings in terms of proportionate weight in supreme personality of Godhead. The first class faithful men are called the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, then the Kshatriyas, then the Vaishyas, and then the Sudras, then the Melakas, the Yavanas, and last the Kandalas. The degradation of human instinct begins from the Malakas, and the Kandala state of the life is the last word in human degradation. All the above terms mentioned in Vedic literatures are never meant for any particular community or birth. They are different qualifications of human beings in general. There is no question of birth by the community. One Vaishnava can become a Malaka, or the son of a Kandala can become more than a Brahmana, all in terms of their association and intimate relation to the Supreme Lord. The meat eaters are generally called Malakas, but all meat eaters are not Malakas. Those who accept meat in terms of scriptural instructions are not Malakas, but those who accept meat without restriction are called Malakas. Beef is forbidden in scriptures, and the bulls and cows are offered special protection by the followers of the Vedas. But in this age of Kali, people will exploit the body of the bull and cow as they like, and thus they will invite sufferings of various types.
All right.
People,
So today, 4 things diminish: duration of life, mercy, power of recollection, and religious principles. So religion is down to 25% now. 3/4 of population is irreligious, and situation is now hell. And this will dwindle further also as Kali progresses. In Kali, people will create so many so-called religious societies where Supreme Personality of Godhead is defied. You can see it live around us. And people will not perform any sacrifice. Demigods are not satisfied. Therefore, there is no rain, or there is disturbance in the cycle of rain. And materialistic people want to work hard for fruitive results for sense enjoyment. Rather, what should be done is you eat fruits and vegetables and get strength. Sorry, has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So previously we read about the symptoms of Kali Yoga, and so now coming to this part and about talking about the 4 pillars of Dharma, dwindling of religious principles is one. So is it because of that like all these other religions sprung up, like Christianity, Mohammedan, and so on?
Yeah, we clearly read that because of progress of Kali Yuga, all these so-called religious societies have sprung up, which are thousands in number. In reality, there is only one religion, the Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is for individual soul to serve the eternal Master Krishna. Sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay, so next time you all should also practice not to lay a foundation. So Gauri spent a whole time on the background while her question is one sentence. Just ask the question. Why do you have to spend time on the background? We have discussed this. We have to practice. We have to come out of bodily concept of life. So practice. This is our practice ground. Pragya?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this purport, it says that all meat eaters are not malech. Those who accept meat in terms of scriptural injunctions are not malech. Just wanted to understand what is the scriptural injunction for accepting meat.
Yeah, so in emergency circumstances, Prabhupada has described in at least one of the purport that says somebody is in forest and for some real emergency has nothing around but to eat meat, and that too, that eating of meat, you don't have to kill the animal. There's already animals lying around in the forest. It's just that real emergency for one time. That is what is being referred to.
Prabhuji, these further descriptions are there somewhere?
It's there in one of the purport. I cannot right now pinpoint, but it's there in one of the purport where Prabhupada has said this point, what I just described.
Okay, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, those who are fighters and those who are in the have to face war, they need more protein. And in that sense, I was just wondering whether this is an exception for them.
No, it's not an exception for them. Just because you are a fighter, like Pandavas, they did not consume meat. Like Krishna is also a Kshatriya, He did not consume meat. So don't try to find a loophole. Right? So it's just emergency circumstances. And Prabhupada has actually said that in the material world, if you actually want people to stop eating meat, tell them to kill the meat, the animal by themselves. So if people try to kill the animal by themselves and then eat meat, they will not kill the animal. They will say, no, this is very, very hard. What people don't realize in the material world, that in slaughterhouses, what goes on, they don't see behind the scene. And therefore they end up eating meat. But if they actually have to kill the animal by themselves to eat the meat, they will realize that the animal goes through a lot of suffering. So they will end up quitting meat. That's what Prabhupada said. Don't have slaughterhouses. Let people kill the animal by themselves if they have to eat. And majority of the people will end up not eating meat because it's very difficult to see animals suffer. Okay.
And Prabhuji, but for when we are doing they were doing animal sacrifices, then also you were seeing the animal suffer. Or
So
that was something.
Yeah, animal sacrifice is described in Canto 4, should be chapter 4, verse number 1, or chapter 5, verse number 1, one of the chapters. It described that animal sacrifice is not meant to eat meat. Animal sacrifice was done for brahmanas to practice their mantras, so that the animal is transformed into a new and better life. So, and that too, the brahmanas, they took an old animal which was anyway about to die, and they used the animal to practice their mantra, not to eat the animal. It was for practicing their mantra, that they are able to give a new life to the animal. The animal was anyway about to die, but they are actually making it better for the animal by giving them new life. So I'll bring up on screen, it's 4.4.6, and we can read it right now from the screen, that animal sacrifice is not meant to eat. Pragya can read from the screen, faster pace, translation and purport.
Ji Prabhuji. Translation. She then reached her father's house where the sacrifice was being performed and entered the arena where everyone was chanting the Vedic hymns. The great sages, brahmanas, and demigods were all assembled there, and there were many sacrificial animals as well as pots made of clay, stone, gold, grass, and skin, which were also requisites for the sacrifice. When learned sages and brahmanas assemble to chant Vedic mantras, some of them also engage in arguing about the conclusion of the scriptures. Thus, some of the sages and brahmanas were arguing, and some of them were chanting the Vedic mantras so the entire atmosphere was surcharged with transcendental sound vibration. This transcendental sound vibration has been simplified, and the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In this age, no one is expected to be highly educated in the Vedic ways of understanding, because people are very slow, lazy, and unfortunate. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has recommended the sound vibration Hare Krishna, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, it is also recommended Yajnaniya Sanskritana Prayayat Yajanti Hi Sumade Saha. As the present moment, it is impossible to gather sacrificial necessities because of the poverty of population and their lack of knowledge in Vedic mantras. Therefore, for this age, it is recommended that people gather together and chant the Hare Krishna mantra to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is accompanied by his associates. Indirectly, this indicates Lord Chaitanya, who is accompanied by his associates Nityanand, Advait, and others. That is the process of performing yajna in this age. Another significant point in this verse is that there were animals for sacrifice. That these animals were meant for sacrifice does not mean that they were meant to be killed. The great sages and the realized souls assembled were performing yajnas, and their realization was tested by animal sacrifice. Just as in modern science, tests are made for animal to determine the effectiveness of a particular medicine. The Brahmanas entrusted with the performance of yajna were very realized souls, and to test their realization, an old animal was offered in the fire and rejuvenated. That was the test of Vedic mantra. The animal gathered were not meant to be killed and eaten. The real purpose of sacrifice was not to replace a slaughterhouse, but to test a Vedic mantra by giving an animal a new life. Animals were used to test the power of Vedic mantras, not for meat.
Does that answer, Pragya?
Yes, Prabhuji. It's a very heavy verse. So, Prabhuji, there were other places. Again, I cannot give a reference where they discuss that it has to be a newborn or a small animal which need to be sacrificed. But here it is mentioned that it has to be an old animal.
Yeah, we clearly read. So what you hear and say, you don't have to believe, right? You ask for reference. What we read is directly from Srimad Bhagavatam. So when you read direct from original scriptures, everything else should be put aside. If somebody is telling you something, why do you believe? Ask for scriptural reference. I am giving you scriptural reference.
Ji Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this, if they were testing whether by sacrifice they are able to get a higher birth, I don't know how they were testing that. They could have done that for some Shudra also. I don't know.
So the testing, they were doing it for the testing part to get the Brahmana qualified. Now this is further described in Canto 4 about Vena. So Vena is a king in the dynasty of Dhruv Maharaj, and he was a tyrant king, and he died without having children. So Brahmanas, by chanting the mantras, got two children, a male child and a female child, from the dead body of Vena, and that child goes on to become Prithu Maharaj. So it's not that it's not possible. An example is also there as to what Pragya is asking. Pragya?
Ji Prabhu, thank you.
Archana, you had a question?
Prabhuji, my question was, even eating a dead animal, you get a karmic reaction, right?
Yes, and your question is?
That is what a question. Yes or no? Yeah, Prabhu.
Yeah, you do. So understand that if you are killing somebody, the degree is more. And we have read in 1.7.37 in the purport, Prabhupada has the words in italics for a specific reason, that one who cooks, one who distributes, one who eats, all those people are murderers. So if you read, Archana, you can read the text highlighted, which is in italics. So there's 1.7.37 from the screen, if you can read. Archana, unmute.
Hare Krishna, sorry, Prabhu. He who gives permissions, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughter animal, he who cook the animal, he who administrates distribution of the foodstuff, and at last he who eats such cooked animal food are all murderer, and all of them are liable to be punished by the law of nature.
Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Divya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So there's a group of people that like to say if they're eating halal meat, right? Does that have any impact on the karma? Like, does it reduce it for them?
Uh, you can use all kinds of jugglery, doesn't change the principle. They are murderers.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Prabhuji, in that halal, I was actually also wanting to ask this question. That it seems they say some prayer and which is supposed to, I don't know,
Yeah.
liberate the animal or something.
They are not qualified to liberate anybody. The Prabhupada has said you do not have authority to kill anyone because you do not give birth to anyone. So all this is jugglery, and including Christians, the Bible says one of the commandment is thou shalt not kill. And Christians to satisfy their tongue stays, they say, well, the human soul is different and the animal soul is different. So thou shalt not kill means that we should not kill human soul. But animal soul is different. It's okay to kill and eat animal soul. Well, it's all jugglery. Right? Krishna has clearly said in 15.7, they are all my parts and parcels. Why do you have to kill anybody? There is more than enough food available in terms of vegetarian foods and grains, which is food for humans. Why do you have to use jugglery? Who wants to recite from the screen 15.7? What does he say? Mama eva amsha jiva loke. Somebody wants to recite and read the translation?
Mama eva amshu jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana manasas shashtan indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. The living entities in the conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Right? Mama eva amsha jiva loke. And translation says, all living entities are my eternal fragmental parts. Krishna is speaking this. So why does anybody have to use jugglery and create interpretation? There is no interpretation required. Mama eva amsha jiva loke. Pragya, Divya, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Vijay Prabhu, go ahead.
Recently someone was telling me, I think I heard in the class, the killing of what thou should not be killed. So this gave.
We cannot hear you. Your voice is broken. Vijay Prabhu, we cannot hear you.
Okay, thou should not be killed. When ISKCON people preach to the Christian people. So recently they put a new version, thou should not kill the human being. They put some places, they make correction like that.
Yeah,
because
so
they feel guilty.
Yeah, so the challenge with Christianity is that they do not have official purports for Bible, and there are so many versions of Bible, and everybody, the people with 4 defects are creating purports, and they are misinterpreting and changing according to their needs. Well, that's not what original scriptures say. Very good. Thank you, Vijay Prabhu. Vimal Prabhu, last question.
Just want to add to that question, Pragya Mataji. The military also has a meal plan. You can be a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, whatever your choice. Hare Krishna.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Vimal Prabhu will read 21 to 24 translations.
Hare Krishna. 21. Are you feeling compassion for the unhappy woman and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because the goddess of learning is being handled by Brahmana addicted to acts against the principle of religion? Or are you sorry for see that the Brahmins have taken shelters of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture. Text 22. The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali, and thus they have put all states affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting these disorders? Now, generally, populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc., and they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this? Hare Krishna.
Up to 24 translations.
23. O Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari incarnated himself as Lord Shri Krishna just to unload your heavy burdens. All activities here are transcendental, and they cemented the path of liberations. Are you now bereft of his presence? You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence. Text 24. Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations, which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerless influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, most have forcibly taken away all your fortunes, which was adored even by the demigods.
So
Hare
all
Krishna.
these verses, Dharma in the form of a bull is inquiring with cow or earth. The earth is in the form of a cow. Dharma wanted to know what is the cause of suffering of earth. All right. Matan Prabhu, 25 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. The translation: the earthly deity in the form of a cow thus replied to the personality of religious principle in the form of a bull. O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply to all those questions. Once you two were maintained by your 4 legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. Purport: the principle of religion are laid down by the Lord himself, and the executor of such laws is Dharmaraya or Yamaraya. Such principles work fully in the age of Satya Yuga. In the Reta Yuga, they are reduced by a fraction of 1/4. In Dwapara Yuga, they are reduced to 1/2, and in the Kali Yuga, they are reduced to 1/4, gradually diminishing to 0 point, and then devastation takes place. Happiness in the world depends proportionately on the maintenance of the religious principles, individually or collectively. The best part of valor is to maintain the principle despite all kinds of odds. Thus, one can be happy during the span of life and ultimately return to Godhead.
Okay, it's continuation of the discussion that principles of religion continue to dwindle in each yuga. Any questions, comments, realizations so far? Verses 26 to 30 are straightforward verses on Krishna's qualities. Archana, 26 to 30 translation. I think everybody has read. Okay. Mayank, I will get you to read next.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 26 to 30. In him reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of others, unhappiness, the power to control anger, self-satisfaction. The 6th, straightforwardness. 7th, steadiness of mind. 8, control of the sense organ. 9th, responsibility. 10th, equality. 11th, tolerance. 12th, equanimity. 13th, faithfulness. 14th, knowledge. 15th, absence of sense enjoyment. 16th, leadership. 17th, chivalry. 18, influence. 19, the power to make everything possible. 20, the discharge of proper duty. 21, complete independence. 22, dexterity. 23, fullness of all beauty. 24, serenity. 25th, kind-heartedness, 26, ingenuity, 27, gentility, 28, magnanimity, 29, determination, 30, perfection in all the knowledge, 31, proper execution, 32, possession of all object of enjoyment, 33, joyfulness, 34, immovability, 35, fidelity, 36, fame, 37, worship, 38, pridelessness, 39, being as a personality for Godhead, 40, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separate from Him. That personality of a Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Shri Krishna. How now close his transcendental pastime on the face of the earth? In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So I am sorry to see this condition existence.
Right, so Mother Earth is describing the qualities of Lord Shri Krishna, that Krishna has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of earth, and therefore Kali is increasing the influence more and more. Mayank Prabhu, 31, 32, 33 translations. And then Shivangi, be ready to read the purport. Mayank Prabhu. Shivangi, 31 to 33 translation, and then 32, 33 purport, faster pace.
Text 31, translation. I'm thinking about myself and also, O best among the demigods, about you, as well as about all the demigods, sages, denizens of Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna and Ashrama in human society. Purport. To effect the perfection of human life, there is cooperation between men and demigods, sages, denizens of the Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and the scientific system of Varna and Ashrama orders of life. The distinction between human life and animal life therefore begins with the scientific system of Varna and Ashrama, guided by the experience of the sages in relation with the demigods, gradually rising to the summit of re-establishing our eternal relation with the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. When God made Varnashrama Dharma, which is strictly meant for developing animal consciousness into human consciousness and human consciousness into godly consciousness, is broken by advancement of foolishness, the whole system of peaceful and progressive life is at once disturbed. In the age of Kali, the first attack of the venomous snake strikes against the god-made Varnashrama Dharma, and thus a person properly qualified as a Brahmana is called a Shudra, and a Shudra by qualification is passing as a Brahmana, all on a false birthright claim. To become a Brahmana by a birthright claim is not at all bona fide, although it may be a fulfillment of one of the conditions. But the real qualification of a Brahmana is to control the mind and the senses, and to cultivate tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, devotion, and faith in the Vedic wisdom. In the present age, consideration of the necessary qualification is being neglected, and the false birthright claim is being supported even by a popular, sophisticated poet, the author of Ramacharitamanasa. This is all due to the influence of the age of Kali. Thus, Mother Earth, represented as a cow, was lamenting the regrettable condition. Text 32 to 33, translation. Lakshmi Ji, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, and for whom they surrendered many a day under the personality of Godhead, gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers and engaged herself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all the three planetary systems by being decorated with the impressions of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving ball, and lotus flower, which are signs of the lotus feet of the Lord. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, the Lord left me. Purport. The beauty and opulence of the world can be enhanced by the grace of the Lord and not by any man-made planning. When the Lord Shri Krishna was present on this earth, the impressions of the special signs of his lotus feet were stamped on the dust, and as a result of this specific grace, the whole earth was made as perfect as possible. In other words, the rivers, the seas, the forests, the hills, and the mines, which are the supplying agents for the necessities of men and animals, were fully discharging their respective duties. Therefore, the riches of the world surpassed all the riches of all the other planets in the three planetary systems of the universe. One should therefore ask that the grace of the Lord always be present on earth, so that we may be favored with his causeless mercy and be happy, having all necessities of life. One may ask how we can detain the Supreme Lord on this earth after his mission is fulfilled and he has left this earth for his own abode. The answer is that there is no need to detain the Lord. The Lord, being omnipresent, can be present with us if we want him at all. By his omnipresence, he can always be with us if we are attached to his devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. There is nothing in the world with which the Lord is disconnected. The only thing we must learn is to excavate the source of connection and thus be linked with him by offenseless service. We can be connected with him by the transcendental sound representation of the Lord. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical, and one who chants the holy name of the Lord in an offenseless manner can at once realize that the Lord is present before him. Even by the vibration of radio sound, we can partially realize sound relativity, and by resounding the sound of transcendence, we can verily feel the presence of the Lord. In this age, when everything is polluted by the contamination of Kali, it is instructed in the scriptures and preached by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can at once be free from contamination and gradually rise to the status of transcendence and go back to Godhead. The offenseless chanter of the holy name of the Lord is as auspicious as the Lord himself, and the movement of pure devotees of the Lord, all over the world, can at once change the troublesome face of the world. Only by the propagation of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord can we be immune from all effects of the age of Kali. Thank you.
So separation from the Lord is unbearable. And beauty on earth is enhanced by Krishna, not by man-made things. And Srila Prabhupada says towards the end of the purport we read that he's talking about pure chanting. Then one can enhance the opulence and beauty of the world, not by scientific planning. It is not possible to create peace and prosperity by any scientific planning. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. Study Srimad Bhagavatam and spread Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus Krishna will incarnate in each house. This way society will prosper. Chandran Prabhu, 34, 35, 36 translations and purports.
Prabhu, may I say something?
Agya, go ahead first.
Prabhuji, just I attended one Sunday session in our ISKCON temple here. There, the Prabhuji was asked a question that there was a peace conference in US or somewhere, and they were talking about how to bring in peace. So he said that, do they have the peace formula? So the peace formula, as we are just discussing, is just Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If they don't have the formula, they can't bring in peace.
Very good. What's the peace formula verse from Bhagavad Gita?
5.29, Prabhu.
Okay, very good. Who wants to recite 5.29? Bhoktaram Yakya Tapasvam.
Bhoktaram sarvatapasam sarvaloke maheshwaram surudham sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shanti mruchati.
Very good. Right. So peace formula is that when Krishna is in the center, when Krishna is glorified, Krishna is served, that's when you will attain peace. So Prabhupada has also given this lecture in United Nations. And Prabhupada said, you cannot have peace. And Prabhupada told them, look at the number of flags you have. How can you have peace when you don't even have one flag? So Pragya, you are correct that these peace conferences are useless. They don't have peace. They are just having their own personal agenda behind it.
And Prabhuji, thank you so much. And this one more comment from this thing is that it says, the purport says, the offenseless chanter is as auspicious as the Lord himself. So just I really liked it.
Yeah, very good. So in the offenses to avoid class, we'll discuss this. What are the symptoms of offenseless chanter? Is that somebody who is humble, who is not looking for any honor and respect, who gives respect to everyone. These are the symptoms of offenseless pure chanting. Coming up discussion in less than an hour's time, it will start. All right, very good. Chandran Prabhu, 34, 35, 36 translation purports.
Hare Krishna. Text 34. O personality of religion, I was greatly overburdened by the undue military phalanxes arranged by atheistic kings. and I was relieved by the grace of the personality of Godhead. Similarly, you were also in a distressed condition, weakened in your standing strength, and thus he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of Yadus to relieve you. Text 35. Who therefore can tolerate the pangs of separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by his sweet smile of love, pleasing glance, and hearty appeals. When traverse my earth's surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and thus would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hair standing on me out of pleasure. Text 36. While the earth and the personality of religion were thus engaged in conversation, the saintly King Parikshit reached the shore of the Saraswati river, which flowed towards the east. Hare Krishna.
All right. Questions, comments, realizations? Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of first canto 16th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled How Parikshit Maharaj Received the Age of Kali. We'll straddle into chapter 17. So we discussed in chapter 16 how Parikshit Maharaj went on a world tour, and Parikshit Maharaj met two personalities, the cow and bull. Bull represents dharma and cow represents earth. Before Parikshit Maharaj's arrival, these two personalities, cow and bull, were discussing, and cow expressed sorrow that Krishna has left, that as long as Krishna was present on earth, I was decorated with auspicious mark of his lotus feet. But after he has left, I am devoid of all good fortune. And as cow and bull were discussing, at that time, one Shudra dressed like a king was hurting the cow and the bull. The legs of the cow were cut down. So at this time, Parikshit Maharaj came at that place, and this discussion is there in chapter 17. We'll discuss the first part of chapter 17 and the heavier discussion about the question Archana asked about what is Vaishnava understanding about miseries is a heavy discussion we'll discuss in our next class. So this chapter 17 is titled Punishment and Reward for Kali. It's divided into three parts. Part 1, verses 1 to 16. Parikshit Maharaj chastises Kali. Part 2, verses 17 to 27. Parikshit Maharaj discusses cause and suffering of cow and bull. Part 3, verses 28 to 45. Parikshit Maharaj expertly gives residence to Kali. So some more symptoms of Kali are also described in this chapter 17, and also how to conquer Kali. Pragya?
Prabhuji, you said part 3, Right. 28 to 45. Parikshit Maharaj expertly gives residence to Kali. Was that expertly?
Yeah, expert. Yeah. Dhara will read chapter 17, verse 1, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 1. Suta Goswami said, after reaching that place, Maharaj Parikshit observed that a lower caste Shudra dressed like a king was beating a cow and a bull with a club as if they had no owner. Purport. The principal sign of the age of Kali is that lower caste Shudras, that is, men without Brahmanical culture and spiritual initiation, will be dressed like administrators or king, and the principal business of such non-Kshatriya rulers will be to kill the innocent animals, especially the cows and the bulls, who shall be unprotected by their masters, the bona fide Vaishyas. The mercantile community. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.44, it is said that the Vaishyas are meant to deal in agriculture, cow protection, and trade. In the age of Kali, the degraded Vaishyas, the mercantile men, are engaged in supplying cow to slaughterhouses. The Kshatriyas are meant to protect the citizens of the state, whereas the Vaishyas are meant to protect the cows and bulls and utilize them to produce grains and milk. The cow is meant to deliver milk, and the bull is meant to produce grains. But in the age of Kali, the Shudra class of men are in the posts of administrators, and the cows and bulls are the mothers and the fathers, unprotected by the Vaishyas, are subject to the slaughterhouses organized by the Shudra administrators. Hare Krishna.
So, Parikshit Maharaj was ideal king and always ready with bow and arrow to give protection to citizens. Parikshit Maharaj is not like modern ruler who protect human but open slaughterhouses. For a king, all subjects are citizens, including animals. Hence, all deserve protection. And the principal symptom of Kali is that lower caste Shudra will be dressed as administrators and kings and will open slaughterhouses. Very much visible all around us, what Srimad Bhagavatam has described so many years ago. Divya, verse 2, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Verse 2 translation. The bull was as white as a white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. Purport. The next symptom of the age of Kali is that the principles of religion, which are all spotlessly white like the white lotus flower, will be attacked by the uncultured Shudra population of the age. They may be descendants of Brahmana or Kshatriya forefathers, but in the age of Kali, for want of sufficient education and culture of Vedic wisdom, such a Shudra-like population will defy the principles of religion, and persons who are religiously endowed will be terrified by such men. They will declare themselves as adherents of no religious principles, and many isms and cults will spring up in Kali Yuga, only to kill the spotless bull of religion. The state will be declared to be secular or without any particular principle of religion, and as a result, there will be total indifference to the principles of religion. The citizens will be free to act as they like without respect for sadhu, shastra, and guru. The bull standing on one leg indicates that the principles of religion are gradually diminishing. Even the fragmental existence of religious principles will be embarrassed by so many obstacles as if in the trembling condition of falling down at any time.
So, cow started shedding tears. She's without any calf and very weak. Without any calf means the influence of Kali, the sinful activity of Kali. Mother Earth has lost the appetite to produce, hence Earth is weak. And people have stopped performing yajna. And the next symptom of Kali is that religion will be attacked. Next few verses are straightforward. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions as well as symptoms of Kali are given. And then in further verses in chapter 17, how to conquer Kali will also be discussed. Chandran Prabhu, verse 3, 4, 5 translations only.
Hare Krishna. Text 3. Although the cow is beneficial because one draw religious principle from her, she was now rendered poor and helpless. Her legs were being beaten by Sudra. There were tears in her eyes, and she was distressed and weak. She was hankering after some grass in the field. Text 4. Maharaja Parikshit, well equipped with arrows and bow, and seated on a gold-embossed chariot, spoke to him, the Sudra, with a deep voice sounding like thunder. Text 5. Oh, who are you? You appear to be strong, and yet you dare kill within my protection those who are helpless. By your dress, you pose yourself to be a godly man, king, but your deeds, you are opposing the principles of the twice-born Kshatriyas. Purport, Prabhuji?
No, that's it. So Parikshit Maharaj asked Kali, who are you? You look like a king or Kshatriya, but your activities are like a Shudra. And Parikshit Maharaj asked the bull the cause of his misfortune. Now, this is a very important learning in chapter 17, which we all will face at some point of time as well, or if we might have already faced. So, very important learning in terms of what Dharma is going to teach us. When Parikshit Maharaj asked Dharma, what is the cause of his misfortune? Who hurt him? So Bull was thinking, why do you want to favor me? And why do you want to punish Kali? If you punish Kali, will I get my leg back? Then what's the use? And in response, Parikshit Maharaj says, no, my duty as a king is to give protection to law-abiding citizens and to punish the miscreants. So in our today's class, I'm going to lay the foundation of this chapter 17. And there are very, very important practical learnings for all of us coming up in our next class. Today is just the foundation. Pragya will read verses 6 to 13 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Verse 6. You rogue, you dare beat an innocent cow because Lord Krishna and Arjun, the carrier of Gandhi bull, are out of sight. Since you are beating the innocent in a secluded place, you are considered a culprit and therefore deserve to be killed. Text 7. Then he, Maharaj Parikshit, asked the bull, oh, who are you? Are you a bull as white as a white lotus, or are you a demigod? You have lost 3 of your legs and are moving on only one. Are you some demigod causing us grief in form of a bull? Text 8. Now, for the first time in a kingdom well protected by the arms of the kings and Kuru dynasty, I see you grieving with tears in your eyes. Up till now, no one on earth has ever shed tears because of royal negligence. Hare Krishna.
Up to 13.
Oh, Prabhuji, yes. Text 9. O son of Surabhi, you need lament no longer now. There is no need to fear this low-class Shudra. And O mother cow, as long as I am living as the ruler of the subduer of all envious men, there is no cause for you to cry. Everything will be good for you. Text 10 to 11. O chaste one, the king's good name, duration of life, and good rebirth vanish when all kings of living beings are terrified by miscreants in his kingdom. It is certainly the prime duty of the king to subdue first the sufferings of those who suffer. Therefore, I must kill this most wretched man because he is violent against other living beings. Text 12. He, Maharaj Parikshit, repeatedly addressed and questioned the bull thus: O son of Surabhi, who has cut off your 3 legs? In the state of the king who are obedient to the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, there is no one as unhappy as you. Text 13. O bull, are you offenseless and thoroughly honest? Therefore, I wish you, O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish all good to you. Please tell me of the perpetrator of these mutilations which blacken the reputation of the sons of Pratha.
The perpetrator. Very important learning in this chapter. So I'm going to ask a question to all of you, and all of you try to please answer. If person A does something wrong to person B, and someone asks person B to identify the perpetrator, what would generally be the response of this person B? Now, although I have said person A and person B, you can replace it, person A, by any other person, and person B being you yourself. So if somebody is doing anything wrong to you, meaning you are person B, and somebody comes to you and asks, who's the perpetrator? What would be your response? I want everyone to answer this because this is a very important learning in this chapter 17. Everybody, please answer.
Prabhuji, if it is somebody else, they will retort. They will take revenge. But if I am there, I will refrain. I will get away from the place. I will tolerate.
So the question is, the person A has done something wrong to person B, and the king or the administrator is coming to person B and asking, who is the perpetrator? So what would be the response of person B? And here in the scenario, you all are person B. So somebody has done something wrong to you, and the administrator comes to ask you, who has done something wrong to you? What will be your response? Everybody, please answer.
Yes, Prabhuji, we'll have to show the person who did it. And as I am, the others also may be doing the same.
Sorry, Chandran Prabhu, repeat. What's your answer?
If I'm questioned, I will be showing the person concerned.
All right.
If
So
somebody
you will identify what you're saying. You will identify the person A who has done something wrong to you. Correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Rest of you, please answer.
Prabhu, in the material world, if asked by an administrator, yes, I would identify the perpetrator, or I would just, tell what had happened. But
Okay, very good.
Within devotee, I would not, Prabhu. If that
Okay.
was devotee.
All right. Archana?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'll identify the person A.
Okay. Vimal Prabhu? Vimal Prabhu? Your voice is not clear. You can please write your answer in the chat. Okay. Divya also says, will answer the perpetrator, person A. Okay. Pragya?
Prabhuji, in the current age, we don't trust our administrators. So we will be, I am not sure whether I would be identifying the perpetrator. But if I trust the administrator, I would.
Okay. So your answer is subject to the condition. But you're saying that if you trust the administrator, you will identify the perpetrator. Is that correct, Pragya?
Ji, Prabhuji.
All right. Malti says also she will identify person A as the perpetrator. Okay. Rest of you have not answered. Ivangi?
I've heard this discussion before, Prabhuji, I think, but
So hold on your thought. Yeah. So Shivangi, you hold on. You have completed this chapter earlier. So you hold on your thought. Rest of you who have not answered. Everybody, I want everybody to answer who have not answered. Who didn't answer? Mayank Prabhu, go ahead.
Maybe just walk away or something.
All right. Dara, Gauri, Matan, Vijay.
Prabhuji, I'm not sure. Maybe I won't.
All right, not sure. Okay. Gauri, Matan, somebody has done something wrong to you. What will you do? Will you identify the perpetrator?
No, I wouldn't, because everyone is a perpetrator. So
Okay. Who is left? Gauri, Vijay? All right. Shivangi can go ahead now.
Prabhuji, you want me to tell what I remember?
Yeah. Whatever you wanted to say earlier when I stopped you.
Oh, well, I knew where you were going with the discussion, but I was just going to say the natural response is to call out the perpetrator. But I think the point of the discussion is that, well, from what I remember, is that if you're in that mentality of calling out the perpetrator, that means you yourself are kind of in that mentality of offending someone, or are a perpetrator yourself. Like
Very good. Very good remembrance. So we'll soon discuss at great length. So this is the heavy discussion and an important learning. One of the important learning from chapter 17 about that if you identify the perpetrator, then you yourself become the perpetrator. And the second heavy learning is about the suffering that I briefly describe about to Archana. So we'll lay the foundation in the next few minutes left in our today's class, and then we'll continue the discussion in our next class. So from verse number 17, Dharma, who is in the form of a bull, starts responding. So far, Parikshit Maharaj has asked all these questions to Dharma in the form of bull and Earth in the form of cow, that who is hurting you? And from verse 17 onwards, Dharma starts responding, and Dharma himself is teaching us that do not identify the perpetrator. Because if you identify the perpetrator, then you are becoming the perpetrator. Mayank Prabhu, first read 14, 15, 16 translations.
Hare Krishna. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. An upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though he is a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency.
And then we will now read from verse 17 onwards that, and as we read through these verses, very important that identify what are the causes of suffering. So this is a very important exercise in this chapter because we all go through sufferings. How many of you go through sufferings in life?
All of us, Prabhu.
All of us, Prabhu.
So identify what are the causes of suffering, and then we will discuss what is Vaishnava understanding of the sufferings. And then we will summarize all of this. So Dharma starts responding from verse number 17, and he first glorifies Parikshit Maharaj. So let's see, everybody has read. Dhara can read 17 and 18 translation and then 18 purport.
Hare Krishna. Text 17. The personality of religion said, "These words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandav dynasty. Captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas, even Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, performed duties as a messenger." Text 18. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings, because we were bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. Purport. There are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward their own theories of cause and effect, especially about the cause of suffering and its effect on different living beings. Generally, there are 6 great philosophers. Karnada, the author of Vaisheshika philosophy; Gautam, the author of logic; Patanjali, the author of mystic yoga; Kapila, the author of Sankhya philosophy; Jaimini, the author of Karma Mimamsa; the Vyasadeva, the author of Vedanta Darshan. Although the bull, or the personality of religion, and the cow, the personality of the earth, knew perfectly well that the personality of Kali was the direct cause of their suffering, still, as devotees of the Lord, they knew well also that without the sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble unto them. According to the Padma Puran, our present trouble is due to the fructifying of seedlings' sins. But even those seedlings' sins also gradually fade away by execution of pure devotional service. Thus, even if the devotees see the mischief mongers, they do not accuse them for the sufferings inflicted. They take it for granted that the mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause, and therefore they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God-given in small doses, for otherwise the sufferings should have been greater. Maharaj Parikshit wanted to get a statement of accusation against the direct mischief monger, but they declined to give it on the above mentioned grounds. Speculative philosophers, however, do not recognize the sanction of the Lord. They try to find out the cause of sufferings in their own way, as will be described in the following verses. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, such speculators are themselves bewildered, and thus they cannot know that the ultimate cause of all causes is the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So we read about mischief mongers and perpetrators, that devotees do not identify mischief mongers because they know that mischief monger cannot act without the sanction of the God. Therefore, they tolerate the sufferings, thinking that the sufferings are God-given in small doses. For otherwise, my karma is very bad. Therefore, my suffering should actually be much greater. This is the devotee thought process. Do not identify the mischief monger. Do not identify the perpetrator. Otherwise, you yourself become the perpetrator. And bewildered by different opinions of different philosophers. How do you know what is right? So the discussion has started from this verse and will continue in our following class. So the cow and bull clearly knew Kali is the cause of their suffering. Still, as devotees, they knew that without the sanction of the Lord, no one can inflict troubles. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 as well as in chapter 18 verses 13 to 19, that for anything to happen in the material world, there are 5 causes that have to come together. Jiva desires, Ishvara sanctions, Prakriti executes, and the senses and the endeavor itself. So devotees do not accuse the wrongdoers. Wrongdoers are made to act to manifest my karmic reaction. Therefore, devotees do not identify the mischief mongers, they simply tolerate. Parikshit Maharaj wanted a statement against the wrongdoers, but the bull and cow declined to give that statement, even though they knew Kali was the direct cause. And speculative philosophers, giving all these different philosophies, they do not recognize the sanction of the Lord. So this heavy discussion will continue in our next class. Any questions, comments, realizations so far before I give you homework?
Prabhuji, in our classes earlier, we had discussed that we should not, devotee should not, earlier also we have discussed the devotee should not take it back on the wrongdoers. I mean, they should thank them for doing. You were mentioning once that if somebody hits you or hurts you, then you should thank him. So to rapists also, we should thank the rapist that thank you for raping me or something like that.
So,
is this
So I didn't use the rapist example. Now
you
you
didn't
have to
use
understand.
rapist example, but I'm just saying that even if we, I think, did discuss about rapist, he said anybody who's hurting you, you should take it in.
Yeah, so somebody physically hurting you, you should protect yourself first. Like if somebody's in the rapist scenario, you have to protect yourself. You don't have to take it for granted. You have to protect yourself. But the discussion is about identifying the mischief mongers. That part you have to tolerate. Okay?
Okay, Prabhuji, but then that person will be able to hurt somebody else. Like we are taking on to the terrorists because the terrorists may hurt more if we don't, bring them down.
Yeah, so that is the role of administrators, not your role. Just because administrators are poor, therefore terrorism is increasing, but you are forgetting the Lord's sanction. We have discussed at great length, and we read today in 1.7.37 with the we have discussed in karma discussion that these group of people kill this animal in the previous life. So the animal now has the karmic reaction to kill this group of people, and therefore this person goes on to become a mass shooter or terrorist unless he meets a pure devotee and transforms and forgives. So this whole discussion is about understanding the Lord's sanction. That whosoever is doing something wrong to me, you have to understand that he is just an instrument to manifest my own bad karma. Okay?
Prabhuji, it is a very personal thing that we are discussing. Is it, Prabhuji?
You are correct.
Because otherwise we should help the administrator in identifying the people who are perpetrating terrorism in our country. We should help.
So administrators should take up the proper responsibility to protect the citizens to begin with. But they are not doing their own responsibility properly. We already read that Shudras who are not capable are sitting in administrative positions and not protecting citizens. So these are two different things that we are saying. You don't have to combine the two.
Okay, Prabhuji. So at personal level, I understand the discussion.
All right. Homework questions. Question number 1. why were Earth's feelings of separation more acute than those of lords, queens? Comes from chapter 16, verse number 35. So this is very important. I did not discuss this point, so purport is crystal clear. You read this in the purport, and it's a very important discussion in the purport. Second point, second question is an analogy. Demigods are pleased when sacrifices are performed, just as prison officers are satisfied when prisoners are turned into obedient subjects. Comes from chapter 16, verse number 20. Also a very important reference that somebody may ask that if I stop doing demigod worship, then will demigod be angry on me? No, they will not. And the direct reference is 1.16.20. And for the next class, read chapter 17. So you can start reading again from verse number 17 onwards. The first 16 verses were straightforward. You can read the whole chapter also. From verse 17 onwards, when Dharma starts to respond, and you try to identify what are the causes of my suffering. Are you getting a clear answer about the causes of your suffering? And we'll discuss at great length. Our next class is definitely going to be heavy. All right, we are just past 9 a.m. in Toronto time.
Prabhuji, kindly repeat question 1, Prabhuji.
Question number 1 is, why were Earth's feelings of separation more acute than those of lords, queens? From chapter 16, verse number 35. Okay, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.